Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 108. The big box Steve on the mic, the big smooth man, no fresh West. So we do own it tonight. Um, so if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like. Thanks for listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, which Anchor is going away, which is going to kind of suck. It's,
No, that sucks.
they're merged to Spotify. I think they bought them a while ago and or something, and they're now finally changing all the. I've even changed my account too. But hopefully, all our Spotify listeners out there are going to continue to listen.
Maybe their anchor ones will go to Spotify.
Yeah, I think everybody does. It's just an account change. All right. Well, uh, world of sports tonight. We're going to talk about NBA playoffs, kind of revisit some NFL stuff, and then get into a fun top five topic to finish off. Since we're going to talk basketball, I heard this 1 minute trivia question. Not to say you only get a minute, but it was, how many NBA basketball teams names, their last name, not their city name, is named or has the same name as a car or truck.
Oh gosh.
And then boom, 1 minute starts.
Okay, well, Trailblazer.
Trailblazer, yeah.
Um, da, 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 da. Um, Bulls, no. Pistons. Pistons isn't a car, but it's in a
No, it
car.
didn't count.
Oh, Timberwolves. I don't know that many cars then, because I mean,
There's at least one, two, three
really.
more. I think there might be four. Not sure about the fourth. But your minute is almost up anyway.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah, I was doing the
Thunder,
same thing. I was trying to run through the all the team
Spurs,
names, right?
Rockets. I mean, Mavericks. What? I don't even.
The Mavericks I have to look up. So you said the Trailblazers, right? So you got
Yeah.
the Blazer, the Cavalier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had a Cavalier, so I knew that one. The Pacer
Oh, okay.
and the Hornet. And maybe the Maverick. Was the Maverick
I
a
don't
car?
think Maverick. I don't think so.
The Ford Maverick.
There was a Maverick, huh? So I got two.
There was a Maverick. So yeah, so there's five.
Wow. I guess that makes sense. It's like the one teams I totally forgot about. Well, because think about it. Like the Cavalier, you mostly call it Cavs,
Right.
right? I mean,
And some of them have S's on the end, which the car doesn't, but
right, Pacers and Hornets.
right. But that was a fun one. I tried to take the minute, and I got a couple, but the same thing. I just kept running into like, what is the name of these cars?
Yeah. So what, you got Cavaliers and Blazers?
Yeah, that was the easy one. Those are too easy for me. So that was fun trivia. Rolling us into the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight.
Oh,
Uh, just got demolished, right? So that was a tough start for them. Three blowouts, right? And then now, so Really, no, because the Knicks and Pacers was as close game. So three of the four games were blowouts.
Yeah, and I'm kind of just sick of being a Knicks fan and not having any games that are
Be
blowouts.
blowouts.
Every single game the Knicks have played in the playoffs,
Right.
I've been stressed in the fourth quarter. Every game.
Yeah, it really has been. And this game, I mean, 5 minutes left, it didn't look good.
Yeah,
I mean, they weren't down by a lot, but they just weren't playing great.
right. Well, that's just the thing is they can't get or they can get big leagues, but they'll give them up. But then it's just they're just so weird because it's like the way they play because it's mostly Jalen Brunson, and that's everything goes through him,
Right.
and so that's why you're going to have good spurts and bad spurts, and then yeah, like
Well, I mean,
Toppin and McConnell had huge games.
Hart, he came up big in a couple plays there. He's not super consistent.
He just
What's his
does it when it
name?
matters, though.
DiVincenzo. Is that his name?
Yeah, he had like 21 in the second half,
Yeah,
or
but he hit that big
four.
three at the end of the game too.
Yeah, Villanova, man.
So I mean, you look at their starters, right? They're really scoring all their points.
Oh yeah.
Three bench points.
Well, I mean, Mitchell Robinson's out for now, out for the playoffs. So that means,
Wait, he's out again because he played.
yeah, he's out now for 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, geez. So yeah, he's done.
So you're looking at Precious is going to get more playing time.
Right.
And I don't know if, because, yeah, right now they only played 8 people. But I mean, when you think about that's usually what the playoffs are. What the Pacers played 9. But if you look at all the games, I mean, I guess you can't count the Timberwolves Nuggets because it was such a horrible blowout.
Yeah, they played everybody at the end of the game.
Mm,
So looking at the second round here, just kind of recapping the end of that first round, when you look at the teams that are in the second round, right? Nuggets, T Wolves, Pacers, Knicks, and then tonight you have
Cavs, Celtics,
Boston,
Mavericks, Thunder.
yeah, Cavs, Mavericks, Thunder. Are any of those teams a surprise from round one?
I don't think so. I mean, because what? One, two, three for the West plus the Mavericks were the 5 seed, but of course Kawhi decided, oh, I'm not going to play in the playoffs.
Right,
So we knew that. We expected Mavericks to win. Um, the Pacers aren't a surprise because the Bucks didn't have Giannis or Lillard pretty much.
right at the end there.
So I mean, it's pretty much if the beginning of the playoffs you're like, okay, the Bucks are not going to have Lillard or um Giannis, and the Clippers, Kawhi is going to play like one game. We would have been like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Not a lot of surprises, right?
Right.
I guess the surprise is Minnesota starting 2-0 on the Nuggets.
And spanking them in both
Yeah,
games.
at Denver. And well, the first game it was close, but the T Wolves still played with a lot more energy. This last game was just, I mean, the Nuggets didn't look good on any level. The T Wolves defense is pretty crazy, and they
They
didn't
didn't
even have
they didn't
Rudy
even have
Gobert.
Gobert.
Right. But Jokic didn't have a great game. But Jamal Murray, I mean, he's really struggling here in this series so far. Which that's a interesting topic, real quick. So have you seen the heating pad?
Oh yeah. That was pretty bush league.
Right, yeah. So I mean, I've seen I guess the big argument now is should he be suspended for that?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, that was intent to cause harm, wasn't it? I
Right.
mean, throwing something on the so someone could fall, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, and it's
is
not
that
like,
any worse than, when the Knicks played the Heat and they had a benches clear brawl and the Knicks like had three players suspended because they left the bench. They didn't fight or anything. They just left the bench.
right.
And they got suspended for a playoff game. Now you're going to tell me someone throws something on the court on intent to injure and you're not going to suspend them?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about that, it's pretty dangerous to come down on that because it slides, right? And so you're talking about potential ACLs, knees. There's a lot of things that could happen when you're at full speed or coming down and you hit something that would slide out from under your foot.
Yeah, your ankle
Right.
just wonder if like Anthony Edwards going up for a dunk and that happens to him
Yeah.
and you lose him for the entire playoffs.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's career ending sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you see it happen, like if you haven't seen the video, you watch this video of it and they show it and it's blatant, right? It's not like it's an accident. So I think they have to. I mean, if they don't suspend him for that, like how do the other guys react,
Yeah, I mean, that's the next time he goes to the lane, maybe someone takes him down, takes him
Yeah.
out.
Well, think about even the other teams though. Like there's got to be other teams watching this too, you know,
Right,
and how would they feel if they were in that game, right? And being
right.
potentially injured. So I think you may see like some kind of league wide uproar saying, this is not acceptable.
Yeah, the only thing I thought I saw was they were just going to fine him, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think they I think that talking about suspension is coming from media. I don't think the NBA had that in the plan in the first place.
You know, yeah, yeah.
But I don't know.
So
I mean, I kind of agree. I don't often like want to jump on the bandwagon of ESPN and these sports analysis, but when you watch it, like I think I kind of agree that you got to suspend him at that point. You got to have a little bit better control,
yeah,
of your
I
emotions and
mean,
frustration at that point.
it's like, dude, you were just because you were the man last year and you won in a championship and things aren't going your way right now. You don't need to throw a temper tantrum and try and injure someone.
Well, yeah, and you're getting kind of dominated in the first two games where he played well in the first series,
Right.
but the Timberwolves defense is just different. They're they're so long. A lot of their guys are tall with long arms, and they're quick.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was right. So 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, Jamal Murray fined $100,000, avoid suspension.
Well, that yeah, I guess that's the point of media right now. They're like, that's not enough. Like
All right.
he should be suspended.
Well, they don't want, like, think about it though. If they do suspend Murray, then that series is over, right?
No, it might be,
And
yeah.
that you lose television money if that happens. Now, with that not suspending him, now people that don't like him or whatever will be watching the game more because they'll be like, oh, we got to root against him.
Right. Everybody's gonna come out of the woodwork as Jamal Murray haters.
Well, that's the thing is, now that we're older, we realize it's a business. They don't really care about what's fair.
Right. Well, yeah, because when you're talking about this series is probably the most watched of the series, right? So you think about the three series going on right now. You imagine most fans are going to want to watch the Timberwolves Nuggets series, right? And then If it goes 4 games versus maybe 6 games, 7 games, huge difference there.
Right.
And as the series go up in games, when they get into game 5 and game 6 and game 7, viewership just goes up and up and up and up. Everybody wants to see the game 7.
Well, and what we've seen now is, like you said, we could have three series go to like 4 or 5 games, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just stuck with the Knicks and Pacers for probably
For
6 or 7
probably
games.
7 games. No, yeah, you don't want to because I have a hard time believing. So getting back to the second round, I have a hard time believing the Cavs can beat Boston. I mean, Tatum didn't play particularly well. Yeah, did the Cavs play their best? No, but they got blown out with an average game from Tatum.
Right. And Porzingis isn't playing.
Right. On top of it, right? They're not going to get enough from their other guys where, one man can win that series for them.
Right.
So right there, I think that's 4. Most likely, we'll say we'll give them 5 at most, right? The way the Minnesota series is going right now, even with Jamal Murray, this may go 4
Right.
because you go back to Minnesota for 2 games now.
Right. And they're going to be going crazy.
Oh man, they've been crazy all year now that they've won 6 playoff games in a row.
Yeah.
So that's another problem, right? Because when teams get hot like that, or it's not even how they're hot, it's they're on a roll, they're winning. You don't even have to be making all the shots. When you're just winning, like the winning just keeps happening.
Right.
And then the Thunder, like blowing out the Mavs tonight, because they swept too, right? They swept first round as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they swept the Pelicans. So they haven't lost yet either.
Well, we're destined for the two young teams to be.
It's kind of looking like that. Yeah, I mean Pacers Knicks, although I don't know, I could see the Knicks taking that quickly too, because if the Pacers say the Knicks win both at home, Pacers drop one at home there,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
trouble.
considering I don't know if you're going to get McConnell and Toppin to give you like 40 points between the two of them
Yeah.
every game.
Yeah, that's super well, but Howard Burton did nothing.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen every game either. So that's definitely a series to watch. Still, looking at how it started in the second round, I'm still pretty confident in Celtics and Timberwolves in the finals.
Yeah. You're better than us now. I'm definitely not confident in the Nuggets at all.
And well, I mean, you never know though. Denver's a good team. It's
Yeah.
a
We'll see what home field or home court does because they lost 2 at home. So,
right. Well, you have to because you can't go down 3-0, right?
no.
Like you could if they come back, they win it their game 3 in Minnesota, they're back in the series.
Right.
But you lose game 3, that's like like winning the lottery, right? The chances you're gonna
Right. You have to win 4 straight.
right. Although just wrapping up NBA in general, it's been a really fun playoffs to watch. And I think Minnesota's helping that with the way they're playing defense, a little bit of like an old school type. They're still shooting the threes, but the way they're playing defense, the way Anthony Edwards is playing, and I know he gets all the Jordan comparisons. Of course, there's always some next Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
but his game, the way he plays the game, is a little Jordan-esque, which is
Yeah.
is nice to see again.
Well, and it's nice to see like you have the storylines. So you have the Thunder and the Timberwolves, the young teams, right? So the Thunder are basically what the 76ers tried to do, but actually succeeded
Yeah.
with their, like, getting a million picks and putting a team together. And then you got in the East, you might have the Knicks Celtics, which is just, the Knicks Celtics, right? That's,
Yeah. You expect that.
you know.
Well, you
Well,
used to.
and the Knicks haven't been good forever. So
Yeah.
to make it to the conference finals would be crazy for New York.
Yeah. I mean, you look at their team, though, they don't look like a team that you would expect in the conference finals.
No. Yeah, without Randall and now without Robinson, you would definitely don't think.
Yeah. I mean, it's given Brunson a chance, though, to really show who he is. When, I mean, honestly, he got a lot of hate, coming in. Not like he was a bad player, but nobody respect him as a top player.
Right.
Like I seen some videos or some of the top analysts calling him like not even top half, in the league. And this is early in the career, but still, like,
Well, that was the thing is there's actually because Rick Carlisle was his coach in Dallas, who's now Carlisle's the coach of the Pacers.
right.
And he was playing Brunson like 10 minutes a game in the playoffs and stuff. And so it's also like revenge game for Brunson here to show him like, "We'll show you."
Oh, but I mean, he's been on the revenge path all playoffs, dude.
Yeah.
The only thing that's weak in his game is he gets up in the air too often, and that forces him, to make these
Right.
bad
Next season.
passes.
Yes, yes. He lit it's he like you're talking like old school, like he lives in the paint like as a
Right.
jump shooter. It's so crazy to see. It's like no, I'm not going to call him Jordan, but that's what he shoots. He shoots like in that range where Jordan used to shoot. Always.
Well, he just has a great ability to get into the key.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not the finisher.
No.
He
I'm
doesn't
just
have
saying
that.
like these jump shot like
Yeah,
type.
when he draws a lot of fouls, he gets in there and he takes contact too. There's plenty of times you watch the games and there's tons of fouls that could have been called that weren't,
Right.
especially when he's driving. I think that's one of the downfall to being maybe a little smaller guard. You get bumped around a little bit more
Right.
and it's expected because the guy's twice your size or whatever. But that's I think he's been playing great. And even without Randall, right, who's obviously a huge player for them, he stepped up quite a bit.
Well, I just like to thank the Blazers for trading Josh Hart to the Knicks. I think Josh Hart is like the glue of that team.
Yeah, well, he's thriving on the team. Um, he's a little bit out of control sometimes, but I think it fits for him pretty well.
Right. Well, yeah, because he's going to get you like 15 rebounds from your shooting guard position.
Yeah,
And then that's what happened is the 76ers are like beat us with the three, and he did.
yeah. I mean, he's always been a pretty good 3-point shooter. All right, we'll wrap up NBA there. Some good games coming. I think Friday they go back to Minnesota, so it's a little bit of a layover, but that's a huge one.
Knicks play tomorrow. I'll be stressed for that one.
Game 2 there, and then they go back to let's see. So let's jump back into NFL real quick. So we were talking about draft last week. Kind of went through a lot of the draft picks. Some of the draft picks I think really helped and changed dynamics of a lot of teams. And so now I just want to take a quick go through the divisions. So let's start in the AFC. So talk about AFC East for a second. So yeah, Buffalo, Miami, the Jets, New England. New England obviously couldn't do enough this off season to make
Right.
themselves a factor. Buffalo lost overall, they got a couple good draft picks, but they lost a lot. Miami solidified a couple positions, didn't draft much, but really still kind of kept most of their nucleus. And
Got
then the
another
Jets,
fast running back.
yeah. So A Chain is not going to be the best fantasy play anymore, or is it going to be Mosier?
So now it's what Mosher, HN, and Wright, right?
Yeah, they have all three of them. So Jets did pretty good on the offseason, getting Mike Williams. I know it wasn't the fan favorite pick, but I think they did well. Drafted line, and they got Rodgers coming back. So looking at that division, who's our favorite? Who's your favorite?
Well, I have to say, and this is going to be crazy, I'm going to say the Jets. And that's just preface if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. I mean, if he's out, then they're done. But
Like bringing Jordan Travis.
yeah, that's true. I can't trust the Dolphins because they still haven't beaten a team with a winning record yet, right? I don't
Yeah,
think they did all year. Bills lost a lot. So then it's going to be all on Josh Allen.
yeah. I mean, a couple good receiver ads. So we'll see how they play out. I mean,
Yeah.
Keon Coleman could be definitely a number one quickly.
Yeah, I still don't want to put all my trust in a receiver, though, rookie
Yeah,
receiver.
especially a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I go with the Jets here too. You've got a great defense, and obviously a great quarterback if he can stay healthy. So I don't see why the Jets wouldn't win the division. North, you got Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Baltimore obviously won last year, and you had a pretty good guy named Derrick Henry.
Mm. Um, this is a tough one too, because it's all depends on health, right? Because if Joe Burrow's healthy,
Yeah,
they're
yeah. I mean,
blocking it,
Cincinnati's always a threat, right?
right? But we're talking regular season. I always got to take Baltimore, so I think Baltimore's still a favorite for that division.
Yeah, I don't think Pittsburgh got really any better. Cleveland's hard because they had a good season without Chubb,
All right.
and their defense is solid, but I think Baltimore still, yeah, I think we're still in agreement there in Baltimore. South, Houston, Jacksonville, Indiana, or Indianapolis and Tennessee.
Just what the Texans did before the draft, you have to give it to the Texans.
Right. Yeah, let me take a break real quick. Coffee break. Talk among yourselves.
Okay. 'Cause, yeah, the Texans, what did they pick up? What was their draft? Yeah. Oh yeah, because they traded out of the first round into the second with Minnesota. Kamari Lassiter, a really good pick as a corner. Blake Fisher, good offensive tackle. Kalen Bullock, good safety. They kind of just did lots of depth in what they to improve a young team that they already had. So Yeah, without and getting Diggs in the offseason, that offense is stacked. So I'm gonna, yeah, there's no, the only, I like what Tennessee did, but I'm not a fan of Will Levis. I like what the Colts did, and just have to see what Anthony Richardson does. And then, the Jags, they got Mac Jones now. So,
Well, if Lawrence gets hurt again, right?
yeah. But the
Uh,
Jags, didn't they pick up a receiver? Did they get Brian Thomas?
yes, they did. But they also lost Calvin Ridley.
Right. So
So
that's what,
you're not gaining a whole lot there. Although for the future you are.
well, didn't they get Gabe Davis too?
Yeah, they did. So Jacksonville could still be dangerous. Indianapolis, I think, has a chance to be good this season. But again, it all comes down to Richardson, right?
Right.
But I think the Texans, they obviously played well. They're still only 10-7. Obviously, they surged later, and
Right.
I think the playoff game really kind of boosted them up higher than they are. But they added so much during this offseason and the draft that then it's really hard to not put them winning. I think Indianapolis could win this division. But if I had to like gun to my head choose, like I'm taking Houston.
Right.
West, this is interesting because it's like Kansas City, obviously, Raiders, Denver, and
The
Chargers.
Chargers. Yeah, it's still the Chiefs.
It's so hard to be not to be like, hey, the Chiefs are gonna take this, and
Right. I mean, I like what the Raiders did, but that's still it's Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell.
yeah, without a
Um,
quarterback, they're
right.
gonna have a hard time.
The Chargers, I like that they got Alt. They just picked up DJ Chark, but I don't know. I don't know if that moves the needle much anymore like he used to be.
Well, and you also downgraded at running back.
Yeah. Didn't they pick up Gus Edwards or who's the other running back from or was it did they get Dobbins?
Maybe let's look.
They got Dobbins. They got J.K. Dobbins.
I mean, it's still a pretty big downgrade from Eckler, but it's helpful. You
Okay,
downgraded at
well,
every
this
position though.
is funny. No, both Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins went to the
Well,
Chargers.
because as soon as Derrick Henry shows up, what are you gonna do?
Right, and Greg Roman's the OC like he was with the
Right.
Ravens.
But I mean, regardless, you downgraded at your skill positions,
Yeah,
and so it's going to be tough for them to win the division. Do I think they'll improve? Yeah, they were 5-12 last year. So
right.
Denver, I don't think has a chance this year. I guess it depends on how Bo Nix plays. He could play better.
I think they just have too many holes.
They do have a lot of holes. But I mean, and I'm not saying Sean Payton's the best coach, but if you want somebody to coach a team without superstars, he's not a bad guy to have
Right,
that doing that, because he's very good at spreading the ball around and putting people in positions to get open no matter what their skill set.
right.
But yeah, Kansas City, there's no way I can't pick them there. So jump over to the NFC. Start with the East. Dallas, Philly, the Giants, Washington. This is a mess.
hmm Well, it's got to be the Eagles. They got tons of. Oh my gosh, man, Howie Roseman, that dude.
Well, I mean, obviously adding Saquon's huge.
Well, didn't he get Queon Mitchell and Cooper Tejon too?
Yeah, definitely getting some help in their secondary, which was needed.
Yeah. And the Cowboys didn't do anything except bring back Ezekiel Elliott.
Right. But the Cowboys didn't need a lot though to still be 12-5 or,
Well, I mean, their defense is going to be good, but they lost like three-fifths of their offensive line.
right.
You're
That hurt.
downgrading back to Zeke as your running back. You still have CeeDee Lamb, but you don't have much else at receiver.
Well, then now that also the problem is you're playing division winner schedule.
Right,
So that's not going to help them. Because last year they weren't playing division winner schedule.
right.
And then Philly, though, it's like they have so much talent, you expect them to be there, but they had that lots of talent last year too.
Right.
So that's tough. But then again, now you're like, well, then what am I going to choose? The Giants or the Commanders?
Right. I will say the Giants did get better. I mean, Malik Neighbors, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I think Washington did more for themselves than the Giants.
Yeah. Well,
They
yeah, they got Jaden Daniels.
they obviously got hurt on defense, but when you look at you add Eckler, right? Brian Robinson's good. So you got two really good running backs.
Right.
And then we talked about this before, McLaurin and Johan Toxin. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And then you add Jaden Daniels, who in himself is a threat. He can run for 50 yards, right? He can do a lot of other things offensively. So I don't think offense is going to be the problem in Washington. Like they need their defense to step up.
Well, Dan Quinn, that's their head coach is
Right.
defense, so maybe that's why they brought over some Cowboy defenders, didn't they? Then they got that Dorrance Armstrong, right? Or
Well, they also, when you add, yeah, they got Dorrance Armstrong. When you, oh, they got Bobby Wagner too. That's interesting.
yeah, I mean, they got what? They also picked up Johnny Newton. So their defense, they got Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen still DTs. That's still crazy.
Right.
With Johnny Newton and you got Dante Fowler on the bench or rotating in it, and with
And with Armstrong.
Armstrong and Cleveland Farrell, you got Bobby Wagner there, Jeremy Chin, Mike Davis. Yeah, I mean they're not horrible on defense.
Yeah, it's just can they play together, right? Can they actually play defense?
Right. And they got Zach Ertz now.
Yeah, that was the other. They added Ertz, and then they drafted McCaffrey, Luke McCaffrey.
Right.
So they're not sitting horrible. So I mean, I guess I got to agree, Philly wins the division.
Yeah.
But who finishes the better record, the Giants or the Commanders?
Let me check out the Giants depth chart here. Yeah, the Commanders also got the Cowboys center, starting center, so that was a nice coup. So like you're looking at receivers, you got Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, and Malik Neighbors to go with their tight end. It's Waller, but
Waller till he retires.
yeah, they got Theo Johnson. They drafted running back. They got Devin Singletary, so it's not like a scrub.
No, he's solid.
On defense, though, is where you got Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau on your defensive line.
Yeah, I mean Burns, that's huge. Dexter Lawrence is a beast.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the secondary looks a little bad, but I mean, it's a tough one.
I mean, what the Commanders kind of look better top to bottom, but
Yeah, I mean
I think the Giants are more experienced.
right. And they picked up John Runyon from Green Bay and Jermaine Illuminor from the Raiders to play
Yeah,
solidify the right side of the line. I mean,
yeah, and Thomas
their line
obviously
isn't
is
going to be as
good.
bad as it was last year.
No, I don't think any line can be that bad.
Right.
That's a close one. That's a tough call. I think you're really a coin flip there.
Yeah.
What I think it does is I think them improving, that just hurts Philly and Dallas in the end.
Right. Because you could see them stealing a game from one of them.
Right. And then Dallas, especially with the conference championship schedule, or
Yeah.
the division winner schedule, if they drop a game or two, maybe they split with both of them. That really hurts them.
Well, and let's remember the Giants made the playoffs 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I said they're a little more experienced. They've got
Yeah.
that. So I guess if I had to choose, I'd go the Giants probably will have a better record. But Washington's a little scarier than I give them credit for. So I can admit that when I'm wrong. The North, boy, that's really tough. Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. Detroit obviously winning handily the division last year. The way Green Bay played at the end of the year, like, makes them look like a really solid pick.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Chicago, you don't know what they're going to happen because they both got rookie quarterbacks.
Right. I mean, Detroit was one bad quarter away from making the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
So there's not much. The Bears got lots of talent now, so they're not a pushover. And the Packers look formidable, but I just can't go away from the Lions. I mean, when you're that close, you're gonna have yeah, the job's not finished, right? They're gonna
yeah.
have a chip still on their shoulder.
Well, the Packers are the immediate threat to Detroit, though.
Right.
It's not Minnesota or Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, but Detroit got what, three corners? They got tons of corner help, which what they just attacked what they needed.
Yeah, and they didn't really lose anything. At least anything that really is going to affect them that much.
Right.
So I mean, obviously, it's hard not to pick Detroit there, but it's one or two games, right? It could go either way. I would think with them in
Right.
Green Bay. I think it comes down to the end, and it comes down to them beating Minnesota and Chicago. It's kind of like how the Giants and the Commanders are going to play a spoiler for one of
Right.
them. This one, I think, impacts even more because the two bottom teams, I think, have enough talent to beat either of those teams on any given day.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is it's all going to come down to the schedule. Well, let's say Detroit plays the Bears twice within the first 6 or 7 weeks. The Bears are going to be a lot better at the end of the year than they are at
Right.
the beginning.
Yeah, they're and so is Minnesota.
Right.
That's the thing. As those quarterbacks gel with their receivers are so good. When you think about the receivers those two rookie quarterbacks have, you put all those
Yeah.
guys on the board, that's dangerous. Yeah, so later in the year, you don't want to be playing them, right? If
Right.
you're those leaders. So I still think Detroit wins it though. They gained more than they lost. They're a better team this year because they were not an old team in the first place. Laporta obviously young, St. Brown's not old. Jameson Williams now probably will be in normal form.
Yeah.
So that's
And
tough
still
there. But
got Gibbs and Oh, Montgomery.
Right. Yeah, and defense is still solid. So we'll see if their secondary is short up though, because that can cause a problem for them.
Right. Yeah, but picking up, what was it? Davis from Tampa. Amik Robertson's a good like slot corner. And then they didn't they draft like did they draft Terry Arnold or
They drafted. Who did they draft here? Oh, they don't have their draft on this list.
um yeah, they drafted Terry Arnold and Enos Rackstraw Jr. in this. So they got two corners in the draft.
Right. Well, they were definitely all in on secondary.
Yeah. So yeah, they picked up Carlton Davis. They and they signed Amik Robertson, and then they drafted two corners. So they got four corners this offseason.
Right. Which can be a bad sign too.
Oh, yeah. And then they picked up, Marcus Davenport and DJ Reader for that defensive line.
Yeah, that's I think better than what they did in their secondary.
Well, they also got Alex Anceloni too from the Saints.
Yeah, Green Bay worries me in that division because they were so young last year. And if they get a little confidence, and they do well, they could be dangerous. But the flip can happen to Green Bay too. They could lose some games and lose some confidence,
Right.
where Detroit's a little more solid, a little more steady. Oh, here's a mess of a division. So the South, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina. I don't know. You can count Carolina back in it at all.
I mean, they improved.
Enough to compete, though. I guess,
Bryce Young at least has stuff now.
yeah, and he's got a year under his belt. I think everybody said he was so NFL ready, and I don't know that anybody is NFL ready.
Right.
And so he stayed healthy enough throughout the whole year that, now he's going to have this is a true test year for him. Like I wouldn't judge him on his rookie season.
Right.
But they didn't, I mean, they lost Brian Burns.
Right.
Secondary doesn't look phenomenal. It's
Their
not
owner's
bad.
their owner's a douchebag, so
Right. That's even worse. That's the problem, right? That's a big problem for them.
yeah. Going and trying to strong arm restaurants and stuff. Did you see that?
No.
You didn't hear about that? Oh man, this restaurant put like on their sign it said let the coach and GM do the drafting. And this is before the draft. And he went into the place and talked to the people. He's like, "Whoa."
Well, actually, I saw the sign.
Yeah.
I didn't know he actually
Yeah, he went in there.
huh.
It's like, dude, you're like a billionaire. Stop being so
Right.
petty and
Yeah, why
butthurt.
are you going to like it's probably not even like a huge restaurant, right?
No, yeah, it's like, dude, it's only going to cause what had happened. And basically, people are like, man, what a jerk.
But I think he doesn't everybody thinks of him that way, so he doesn't
Yeah,
care.
right.
Tampa and New Orleans, Atlanta left. Jeez. I mean, you got to think that Atlanta helped themselves, right?
Sort of.
But I don't know. Their talent, I don't think is as top notch as everybody says.
Right.
Do I think Bijan Robinson's good? Yeah, I do. I like him, but as far as saying Drake London, and Pitts are dominant players, they're not. Do they have a lot of talent? Sure. But do they have more talent than the Bucks or the Saints? I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I think looking at, I'm gonna have to go. The Bucks are still the team to beat in that division.
Well, that's a tough one. So
Well, they got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin
right,
still.
so they still have, I mean, yeah, and then they didn't K Dotton's still a tight end, Rashid White's still the running back, Baker at quarterback. They lost so much on defense though, really.
But did they really lose that much? I mean, they lost
Yeah, I guess
Shaq
those are all
Barrett,
kind of
Shaq Barrett and Devin White, right? But
right.
they
And
still got
and Davis.
and Davis, yeah. They still got Levante David. They still got Vita Vea, Kalisha Cansey. Um, they got William Golston and Tyron Shoyinga. KJ Britt, I think, to replace Devin White. And they still got Jordan Whitehead and Antone Winfield Jr., right? So
Well, and Jamal Dean. I mean,
yeah,
Dean's
Jamal Dean.
yeah.
So
I think Dean's probably their best corner in my opinion.
right.
When I think they lost where I mean I think they got hurt at linebacker right now. David, the timeless wonder, is getting old.
Right.
So a little bit of work to do there. But yeah, I got top to bottom, I would take them over the Saints, I think. So I guess it's between Atlanta and Tampa. I mean, Cousins leading the way in Atlanta.
I don't know. We're gonna see because it's why Cousins didn't sign with the Vikings? Because they told him we're gonna draft a quarterback
Right.
to be your replacement in a few years.
And then the Falcons did it anyway.
Yeah, without telling him. They're like, well, who's gonna want to go play for a franchise like that?
Right. But then, I mean, who cares? Then, like, you don't lose much by putting Penix in. It's
Yeah,
Kirk
but
Cousins, dude.
if I'm a free agent, do I trust the Falcons at all?
No.
If I'm Penix, am I so pissed that the Falcons drafted you? So I just think there's going to be a lot of turmoil.
Yeah, a little bit of tension in the locker room.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they added Mooney and Rondell Moore at receiver.
yeah,
I mean, offensive line's not terrible. Boy, it really looks like they could have used a defensive
yeah.
end.
That's exactly what they needed.
But still, defense is solid. It's not horrible. So I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
I got Atlanta third in that division.
So it's our first different here. So you got Tampa, I got Atlanta. All right, the West, San Francisco, the Rams, Seattle, Arizona.
It's the Niners. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know that there's much you can really argue for the other teams.
the Cardinals will be better. I mean, I don't know. I think the Seahawks, I see the Seahawks starting to go down because I feel like they overachieved with Pete Carroll, and now that he's gone, we're going to start to see what the Seahawks really are.
Yeah,
The Rams, they still got a lot of pieces, but losing Aaron Donald, that's going to hurt them.
it's a big hit. And just to like overall, I mean, even when he's just on the field, he makes such a big difference in your defense.
Right.
They did draft Verse though, which I thought was a great pick.
Yeah, and they got Fiske too, so they went double Florida State defensive lineman.
Yeah.
And Fiske, he was a freak at the combine.
And they got Tre'Davious White at corner.
Yeah, but he's coming off an ACL.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's always a question mark for sure. But
Well,
some of
because
these
he's been
guys,
hurt. He's been hurt like 3 of the last 4 years too.
yeah. Yeah, you need him in the game. That's for sure. So, I mean, second in that division, I think it still goes to the Rams.
Yeah,
I mean, the Rams did well. I mean, they Detroit did not handle them in the playoffs. That game came right down to it. And honestly, the Rams probably got better. So I think that's hard not to pick the Rams there.
right.
But still, I agree 49ers. So overall, in agreement in all divisions except one, we got 49ers, either Tampa or Atlanta, Detroit, Philly, KC, Houston, Baltimore, the Jets.
Yeah,
So it's interesting. Only the Jets didn't win their division last year,
Eagles.
and then only the Eagles didn't win their division last year. So you got the same division winners except two.
Right, and you have the Falcons, and I have
So
the so
yeah,
you
so I
have
have the
three.
same division winners except three.
Right,
So we're really thinking the division winners from last year. I wonder what from the year before.
right. Well, I mean, some of them, like the Chiefs and the Niners,
Right.
those two, I think, are like really. The others can go different directions, I think.
Yeah.
Because we said like Lions or Packers. The South could be the Bucks, Saints, or Falcons. The East is Cowboys or Eagles. And the AFC still have the Bills, Dolphins, or Jets.
Jets
The South, it's the Texans and the Colts.
or Jacksonville. You never know.
Yeah, Jacksonville too. Yeah, I forgot about them. And then the North is all 4 teams.
Yeah, you really. I mean, because Pittsburgh has proven time and time again that they can play with no matter who they put at quarterback.
Right, exactly. It's I hope
Yeah.
one day they do get rid of Tomlin and they realize, oh shoot, we've been so blessed to have him, but now they take him for granted.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they don't get anywhere without their whole coaching staff, really.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, those are our way too early season draft picks. All right. Well, let's get into our top five for this week. So, wrapping up football season, got a lot more top fives coming. This is an interesting one because we wrapped up a lot of stuff in here, but we'll just give them the theme here. So the overall theme: top five character actors, supporting actors, people who really stole the scene. That's kind of what we're looking at there. And it's surprising a lot of people don't know what a character actor even means.
Right. Well, for me, it means you watch a movie and then you watch another movie and goes, I've seen that guy in other stuff.
Right.
And
But
it's
it's
like you
not the
don't
star.
remember, huh?
But it's not like the big star.
Right.
It's not like I seen Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of the best way to look at it as I broke it down. It's such an interesting topic too, because when I was breaking down, say, like a top five best actors, right? The list was shorter. than
Right.
this list. Like
Well,
this
yeah, I
list
had
goes
some
a
people that had just one movie where they were the
right
scene stealer, but then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take that out though because this guy has been in like six
20
movies.
movies,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean, but also just the list of the people who been in a lot of a secondary role, supporting actors, great character actors. Like it's just a big list. So this is a really interesting top five. So this is one of our better ones. So the way we're going to break it down, so we'll get in here HSC top five character actors slash supporting actors slash scene stealers. Could be any one of those, which also gave an extra hard element. So what do you got at five?
my number five is William Fichtner.
Interesting. Just as an overall, not a scene steal, just
No,
a
I mean,
great character actor.
he had when he was in was it The Dark Knight, he was only in it for like the first 4 minutes or so. He was a little bit of a scene stealer there with
Right.
Heath Ledger. His part in Heat, he had a great part in Heat. Black Hawk Down, he was actually one of the main guys in that one.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and
then of
he's
course, I
he's
mean,
one of
of
those
course,
seasoned,
Armageddon, right?
right. Yeah, he's one of those seasoned, been in a lot. So one of the ways I kind of eliminated some of mine was to put both together. What scene stealing did they do, or
Right.
what was that, and then were they seasoned? So um, that's a good one, though. That's a real good one. So my number five, I have Alan Rickman, but even though I think he's great as a character actor, I actually think he stole the scene, stole the movie in Robin Hood
Yeah.
as the sheriff of Nottingham. And so I'm not going to give him the credit he deserves as Hans Gruber and the Harry Potter Snape guy and all these other ones because he's got so much range because he did movies like Love Actually and Sense and Sensibility and things like that, right? But so he's got tons of range. Such a great actor, but more to me, like when you got Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, all these people in this movie, and like he just didn't you steal that movie?
Well, and he, I believe the story goes, he rewrote a lot of his scene, like his dialogue, because he thought it was
Yeah.
rich.
Oh, it feels like him. That whole part feels like him. So I
And,
went for a scene stealer there.
and don't forget him in Dogma, too.
Oh yeah, Dogma. The list is crazy.
Yeah.
It's so long.
I left him off mine because I just feel he's too well known, even though I'm going back on that because my number two is really well known.
Right.
But,
But and he never really has played the star though.
right,
Yeah, there's a couple where you kind of it's hard not to that line's a tough line
right,
because sometimes they character acted then got their own things or
right.
did a
It
couple
was,
good movies by themselves and then character acted a lot.
oh man, and he stole Harry Potter too.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was there and so I definitely got him on my list. So number four, I'll jump back in again. This was a tough one because I wanted to say a specific one, but I'm just going to go overall. And even though he's had his movies, John C. Riley, I'm gonna put him here as just, and he's a great character actor. He actually came up into his own a little bit in a couple movies. They weren't great movies, the problem. But he's always been a great supporting actor. for a long time, in a
Right.
lot of movies. I mean, he goes back to Boogie Nights.
Right. I think Hard Eight, right? Wasn't he in that? And then
Yeah. But he's so good though in the newer stuff. Obviously playing opposite of Will Ferrell.
right, except for Holmes and Watson. That one was so bad.
Well, you got to take the bad with the good, right? When you're talking
Right.
about character actors. So yeah, I got him at 4.
Mine's gonna be more obscure. I'm going with Stephen Root.
Oh yeah,
I
I
mean, first
definitely looked
off,
at him.
Office Space, he
Office
steals that
Space.
movie. Milton.
Milton, dude. You see my stapler?
Yep. I'm gonna burn this house. I'm gonna burn this place down. Just to like, and then I mean, it doesn't count because it was TV, but news radio, like,
Well, I think TV does count because we're just saying actors, right? We're not
right.
saying movie actors.
And he's done so much stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, he's got a little part in Idiocracy, and I mean, Dodgeball, right? And then,
Well, he's just that guy you expect to see in the movie, but he's not always, he's never the star.
right,
I think Office Space for me is probably the one he sticks out the most in.
right. Yeah, that, or like, yeah, news radio. He was in 97 episodes of that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, he played a much different role in that.
right.
So that's good range. That's good. Let's see, what do you got at 3?
Oh, this one is one of the more popular people around, but I'm going John Turturro as my number three. I mean, Big Lebowski as Jesus,
Yeah.
Do the Right Thing. I mean, he so many movies. Barton Fink. He's
Rounders.
yes, yeah. To me, I think of when I think of character, he's like one of the top character actors for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, he's definitely not a range character actor as no, he is not as much as some of the other ones. But he's really good. That's his benefit, right? Is what he does and the parts he plays, he does really well. Yeah, he was definitely on my list. The problem with my list is it was like 15 long, so
Right.
I couldn't keep him on there. And some of them, I took out of, just like what I really like. Sometimes I
Right.
just put a little bias in it. So that was your 4.
My three.
That was your 3. So my 3, this was tough because for me it's kind of it was a scene stealer for me. He's done a lot of stuff, but Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future playing Doc Brown, it's so good. Like everybody loves Michael J. Fox, of course, but it's not the same movie without Christopher Lloyd. And so it's more of a scene stealing character actor because he is Back to the Future.
I thought you were gonna say his role in Search for Spock, right?
Yeah. Well, you look at his stuff, he's been in a ton of stuff, right? He's been
Right.
around forever.
Taxi.
Yeah. Yeah, did some good TV. But yeah, for me, that I had to put him up there because when you think about like a movies that who's just the movie's not the same without him, and they're not the star.
Right.
That was a good one for me. So I got him there at 3. And then 2, I went back and forth with 2 a lot, but I settled on Gary Oldman.
Oh, nice.
you could name a couple like times where he stole the movie sometimes, but more so than that, you want to look at him as like there is no better or more played bad guy than Gary Oldman. It's just like so many movies where he's the bad guy and he plays it perfectly. And it's every time you know what you're going to get at Gary Oldman, and he's always going to be exactly what you expect out of his role.
Just thinking about that is, True Romance, you could have five character actors just from that movie scene stealing.
Oh yeah.
And then Gary Oldman was one of those. Oh my gosh.
Well, one of my honorable mentions, Christopher Walken,
Yes.
same thing, right? Even in that movie.
Right. In that movie. Yes.
So it was that it's kind of funny because I actually rate Walken and Oldman higher, but because of the variety and how it mixed out, I chose Oldman
Right.
in that spot. So I got Gary Oldman there, number two.
My number two is one of my favorite actors, and it's Steve Buscemi. I mean,
Yeah, that's a
Mr.
good
Pink
one.
and Res Dogs, Con Air. He stole Con Air.
Yeah, it's so funny. So good in Conning.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
Let's get off the nuke.
I was doing the thing where I ride it into the sunset,
Yeah.
right up in.
He stole that movie. I mean, and that was a fluff movie, but there was so many good one-liners in that movie, Armageddon.
Well, guys like Buscemi, um, Owen Wilson, Michael Clark Duncan, like those guys make the movie.
Right.
And who's the guy that plays Bruce Willis' sidekick?
Will
Um,
Patton.
yeah, he's
He's
great,
another great character actor.
great character actor. Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good number two. All right, down to the final when you got a number
Yep.
one.
My number one, and this is sad because this was one for Wes. He only appeared in five movies. All five of his movies were nominated for Best Picture, and that is John Cazalelli,
Wow.
Fredo from
Yeah,
Godfather,
right,
Dog Day Afternoon. I mean, Deer Hunter, and The Conversation. I mean, he stole scenes in each one of those movies, and they are all nominated for Best Picture.
right. Yeah, that's tough because those are old school type too. That's I mean, I don't like to put down movies too much lately, but that's when acting was, a, an art.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
if you could
I can
only
get
do
along with that.
five movies in your life, and they're The Godfather, The Conversation, The
Right.
Godfather Part Two, Dog Day Afternoon, and Deer Hunter. I
You're like,
mean,
hey, I was in five of the best movies ever.
yeah.
That's pretty good. I gotta admit, he wasn't on my list. My number one's very anticlimactic now because that's where this is where I have Steve Buscemi, and it's really there. He plays so many good roles, dude. But Armageddon for me, so I'm gonna actually put him more on the scene stealing side again because it's just you have this movie about the global disaster, and there's all these drama things and all these hard narratives happening, and Steve Buscemi is the one guy that not only is he funny, but then he's like the genius and like the role and how he plays it. It's just great.
Well, and then if we're gonna go crazy, we forgot Wedding Singer. He stole that one too.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Or I
Or
was
Billy
watching.
Madison, dude.
Yes, exactly. I was listening to Dana Carvey and David Spade's podcast. They had him on there, and it was a one day he was on for Billy Madison,
Right.
and he was just that scene. And he's even like, "Yeah," and then for some reason they made me put lipstick on it.
Yeah, but the other one, and again, I don't think Con Air gets enough credit, just as a movie in general. I think
Right.
Buscemi did great, but so does Malkovich. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
everyone like Malkovich, Ving Rhames, Cusack.
Malkovich is that's one of the most believable characters I've ever seen him play. And he literally played being John Malkovich,
Right.
and then after his role in Rounders, but that role he played in Con Air is just perfect. I don't
That
think
movie had such a
he made
great.
a mistake in that movie.
Right. That casting was so good too. I'm like, you had Dave Chappelle in it before he was Chappelle, right?
Right.
Or like,
Well, and what's the other guy's name? Danny Trejo.
yeah, Danny Trejo, Michael T.
Yeah.
Williamson, I mean, they were Nicolas Cage. It's his movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you don't even think of Nicolas Cage
No.
first when you think about all the other parts in that.
Well, and that's the kind of messed up thing is Buscemi's character is just messed up completely. Like, how many people he killed and all this stuff. And then you're like, he's like the most likable person on that plane.
Right. Yeah, the serial killer.
Right. And then it's like, oh, he gets away at the end.
Right. And that's the crazy part about the movie, dude. Because not often do they let the bad guys get away.
Does the shooter feel lucky? Yes, yes, I do.
Yeah, so that's I mean, I have a number one. This is a real tough one. The last second I changed out Woody Harrelson.
Mhm.
Not only has he done a lot of really good movies, and he's always, that character actor, but I always go back to White Men Can't Jump,
Right,
where, like he is that movie.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got
I
Wesley
had
Snipes, you got other people, but if you're
my
gonna talk
next
about a
one
pure
was
scene, just one pure movie stilling scene, it's the first scene where they have them playing the first basketball game, and he comes off sitting down. He's like,
who me?
"You mean play basketball?" And but then because what happens when they go through the whole scene, and then they go to the shootout, and like he just I don't think you could play more perfectly that role of someone who's hustling
The
and
hustler.
just like played the part.
Right,
He he
right,
he played the part of a guy playing the part.
right. I got one honorable mention because I think he's just so popular now that he probably should be on the list, but I knew him back when he was more character. Now, I mean, he's super popular because of can't even think of the TV show, Breaking Bad, and that's Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were gonna say Bryan Cranston.
Now, because Esposito's been around for like
Yeah.
80s, right? I remember him in Maximum Overdrive as the kid in the video game area.
Right. Well, there was a couple people like that. Like even Christopher Walken was one of those. He's been around forever in so many movies. Dennis Hopper,
Right,
Sam Elliott. A lot of these people I had on my list because they just been in so much.
right,
But not everybody can steal the scene, and I was really disappointed that I ultimately took out Morgan Freeman as well.
right.
I
Well, and
mean,
then the whole chasing or whole scene stealing would be Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross, right? Like
right.
that's
Yeah,
like
no, I mean,
ultimate. And if Wes was here, he could talk about his acting school. That's the one thing everyone did was his scene.
Oh yeah they teach that.
I have one obscure person, and this is way obscure. Dwight Ewell from Chasing Amy.
Dwight Yule.
Yeah, he was the gay black writer who does the one scene where he's talking about how Star Wars is racist. Do you remember?
Yeah, look this guy up so he can get his.
You can't even see his picture's not even on IMDb.
Oh, interesting.
But in Chasing Amy, he's like the only black guy in the movie. But he comes off, he starts talking about he's in a comic convention. He starts talking about how Star Wars is racist. And then Jason Lee and Ben Affleck are heckling him.
Huh.
It's such a good. You have to Google that scene. Just like
Oh yeah, there it is.
it's it's one of the funniest scenes in a movie. I can't.
You know, I thought he was going to be more popular. He it seemed like he was on his way to being a really big character actor. The other guy played with Ben Affleck,
Jason
Jason.
Lee.
Yeah, Jason Lee.
Well, he was a professional skateboarder
Yeah.
before he got
Well,
started, and he did what Mallrats
well,
and
he got a lot of money when he did.
My Name Is
My Name
Earl.
Is Earl.
Yeah, and that's kind of where he kind of stopped. He was supposed Kevin Smith was going to do a Fletch, and he was going to be Fletch, and that fell through.
Right.
I think he kind of was like, I don't really need to do much acting. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah. He
he
got
owns
happy
like,
with what he got. You know, he
well, he owns like a skateboarding company.
right.
Yeah, he has, what is his net worth? He's only at 20 million, 20
Yeah,
million.
only. I think he's all right.
But yeah, that's the thing is I think he just didn't care to really do
Well,
much.
it's a lot of time and work and investment for them. I mean, let's be honest. Like if somebody's like, "Here's 20 million," and you can either do nothing or continue to do stuff, you're just like,
Right.
I'm just like, I'll just do nothing. Let's see. Office Space, like, you don't need $1 million to do that. My
Yeah.
cousin's broke, don't do shit.
Yeah. See, that was a Diedrich Bader is another good character actor, right?
Right.
Hey, turn to channel 7.
Yeah. Check out Channel 9. Let's or then the for him, for people listening, don't know what we're talking about. He's the next door neighbor in Office Space. But when he plays in Napoleon Dynamite, is that what it is?
Yeah, as
And
the
he's like, you don't want to get a roundhouse to the face with somebody wearing these pants. Yeah, he that guy's good. I like him.
and Drew Carey show was also big with
Yeah,
him.
yeah, he played some good
And then
stuff.
he had another what TV show, right? Where he was the dad.
Oh man, can you imagine?
I mean, it was just within the last few years. Where really? I guess maybe it's farther back. It was a big show. I mean, for like a network TV show.
You know who we were talking about this earlier, Fallout. You know who I like? That guy in
Walton
Fallout?
Goggins.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diedrich Bader was an American housewife.
Yes.
But yeah, Walter Goggins, what Justified and
Uh, you know
what's the
he's
one with him as a preacher, right?
he was really, really good in that one series. It was a TV one. It was an older one. It was like The Shield.
Yeah, he was in The Shield. Yes.
Yeah, he was really good in that.
Yeah, he was like the best friend partner guy of
Right,
Chickless. Yeah, he had that. He had the was it the Righteous Gemstones with Danny McBride,
right.
and then Justified. And that's yeah, he's a great character actor. Look at that. Three different, completely different roles. One he was a
Yeah.
dirty
And going from
cop,
TV to movies to
right? One he was like a he's like a neo-Nazi,
yeah.
and then one he's like a televangelist.
Yeah.
And then in Fallout, he's like an undead ghoul thing.
Well, he plays two parts because he plays that and he plays the
Right. And he played
original
the Western.
actor guy. Yeah, so I like him. He's good. So this was a tough one. There's so many, a lot of things you can kind of judge, what makes a great character actor, when a difference between like stealing certain movies or doing it over the history or longevity of their career. And so that this was a good exercise in like not only your remembering like all the different movies, but all the different scenes too.
Right.
Yeah, so that was good to do. So love to hear any comments on that. I always like try to ask a couple certain people, their top fives. It's like I said, it's funny when people are like, "What's a character actor?" Because at first you're like, "Well, what is it? How do I really explain this?"
Well, there was a movie like a documentary a long time ago, and it was called like um My Name Is or something like that. And because it was a bunch of people that are character actors, you like know their face, but you don't know their
Right.
names.
Which is that happens so often.
Right. We unfortunately are movie nerds, so we know who
Right.
they are.
Well, I'm going through a few with Holly, and she'd name people. I'm like, oh yeah, in this movie, and like, oh yeah, that one in this movie, without seeing or like looking at what she's looking at. And
Right.
she's like, how do you even know all of these people? Like, well, I probably watched a little few too many movies.
Right. Well, there's some movies I've never even seen, but I know who's in it and I know what it's about.
Right.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, that's that movie with blah blah blah.
Well, because I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of time like deciding, if I wanted to watch the movie. And a lot of times that comes down to like who's in the movie, what's the story about? Like, do I want
Right.
to spend 2 hours of my time, or can I just read this paragraph and know the whole movie?
Yeah, I do that sometimes. Sometimes I get clips and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. I'll read about it instead of watching this because I
Yeah.
don't want to spend the
Yeah,
time
then you're like,
watching.
I get it. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's like reading the back of a book and then like, well, I don't have to read that book.
Yeah.
But movies are a little bit easier. So that's a good topic. So that's love to get more in like that as we come up. Uh, went to the NBA, went to NFL in our top five. Any final thoughts for the group?
Oh, I hope my Knicks don't, I want an easy win. That's all I care about right now. I'm just tired of being like,
Well, if you think about it in the East, I think that's the team I would choose to play. Is the Pacers.
yeah,
I mean, not that
Knicks
Cleveland's
don't.
that much better, but I would rather still play the Pacers, I think.
Yeah, I just don't. It's just they never make any game easy because of the way they play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look at it, they beat the 76ers and they had Maxine Embiid. I feel like the Pacers don't have a superstar. They have a bunch of good players.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see them losing, but like I said, if you have a chance to go to the conference finals, I think they have the easiest road. I don't think any road's easy in the playoffs, but it's probably easiest through New York.
Right. Yeah, because if you look at the Cavs have Donovan Mitchell,
Right.
Mavericks have
Garland and
Yeah. The Mavericks have Doncic and Kyrie. The Nuggets have Jamal Murray and Jokic. I mean,
Well, and their teams top to bottom. The West really is better top to
yeah.
bottom.
Oh yeah.
I think the Celtics are probably the only team in the East that stacks up with probably all four Western Conference teams. If you put any of them in the East, they probably win or, play
Right.
Boston in a close Eastern Conference final.
Yeah, because I still think Boston's the best team right now in the NBA.
Well, they're the most diverse. It doesn't matter. Somebody's going to pick up the slack in their games, which is why they don't lose a lot.
Right, because you in the all the other teams, the Knicks, they need Brunson to play
Right.
well. The Cavs need Donovan Mitchell to play well. The Cavs need Halliburton to play well. If they don't, then they lose usually. I
Yeah.
mean, if Anthony Edwards isn't doing what he's doing, they're not going to win. And same
Yeah, I
with
think
Shea. If Shea's not
oh,
playing,
Shea carries that team.
yeah,
Donich, he gets a lot of help from Irving, but still the same way. If Luca doesn't have a great game, they don't.
right. If Jokic, I mean, that's the thing is Murray could carry them though, but he hasn't been playing well.
Yeah. But that's the problem is like he's just not super consistent.
Right.
I think Minnesota's probably the closest to the the team game that Boston has,
Right.
where they can Edwards could score 15 points and they could still win handily because you've got McDaniels and you got Cat that can pick up the slack
Right.
there, and you've got a Conley is like the perfect guy for that team.
Right. Because he doesn't care. He just wants to. He's the prototypical old school point guard.
Yeah, he's the glue that helps them win, keeps them on track. The veteran slows it down when he needs to, calms people down, plays great defense, like does it all. So we'll see what happens in that series. But yeah, hope the best for the Knicks. Don't think they'll get past the Celtics, but
Yeah, I'm not. That's. I'm realistic. I'd rather if they get it to the conference finals. I'll be happy.
yeah, it's a win.
Yeah.
All right, well, good weekend coming up here. Basketball. Got some slow times in football coming up. Still some free agents out there, but that excitement's gone. Can't wait for the season to start. But yeah, we're getting a lot of top fives coming up in the summertime. So don't forget to subscribe and like. Any comments, anything you want to hear, definitely top fives. We'll have to reach out to friends and family and get some good top fives.
Right.
And we can shout them out. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.